Hey, this is Steve in Dallas, Texas. It's Saturday morning, my friend, and you are listening to Light Talk.
Well, good morning. This is Stan in Gainesville, Florida, and today we are discussing cleaning out the closet. No job for me. Rovers and shutters, and the new ETC Luster 3 Lico and Desire Fresnel. All on Light Talk.
And this is David, coming to you from the beautiful Belmont Shore neighborhood of Long Beach, California. And if you don't already know, you are listening to Light Talk, and we are the Lumen Brothers. Welcome, everyone, to episode 209. And you know what 209 means?
It's a Beatles lyric, I told you.
No, that's number 9, not number 209. You don't hear them saying number 209, number 209.
No, it's 9 after 909.
Oh, okay, 9 after 909. Okay, here we go. Goodbye, season 4. That's what it means.
Good riddance, season 4.
Good riddance, man. Next week we start. Next week is our anniversary show. Actually, it's our 4th anniversary, but we're starting season 5 with episode 210. Now, I was doing the math, and if we do a show a week, that's 52 shows a year. So if we do 52 shows a year, that's 104 shows for 2 years. That means that's 208 shows. So technically, this is our anniversary show, I would think.
So I think you should keep your day job and give up the mathematics.
Okay. Am I wrong? 52?
I have no idea.
There are 52.
Not every year has the same number of days.
But it always has the same number of weeks.
Yeah, but you know, if you pay your mortgage every other week, you actually end up making more than 12 payments.
Well, yes. You would make more than 12 payments.
That's right, anyway, what do I know?
It was a poser. I was up all night thinking about this. It was terrible.
This is sad.
The thing that really disappointed me, because we were having this TikTok contest, and if we had just had 25 submissions, we would have been able to give away a Tesla. But sadly, we did not have 25 submissions to our TikTok competition. You get a not safe for your dishwasher coffee mug.
So speaking of that, we have news. So
from where?
We have we've got news from everywhere. I'll just start off with what Steve was just saying, that today is April 1st. In our time, it'll be April 3rd, and when you hear the show, but it's April Fool's Day, and nothing about this is going to be April Fool's. This is actually the truth. But today was the deadline for the TikTok Light Talk, what was it, the Light Talk theme song TikTok dance.
Dance off.
Dance off, right. So we're going to announce the winner next week on our anniversary show, and that winner will receive a not safe for dishwasher Light Talk coffee mug. Okay? But you have to send me your address so I can send it to you.
I tell you, the world is at fever pitch right now. Could it be me? Did I win it? Did I?
That I might pay to see.
No, I'm talking about people around the world. The Faroe Islands, the people of China, the Germans, the Finns, they're all wondering, are they going to take home the gold for their country?
We've had no international applicants. It's very sad.
I think we had a marketing problem.
We had a marketing problem this one, but we will announce a winner next week, so be sure to tune in to next week's show. Okay, now the biggest news of the week, I think, is that ETC, Electronic Theater Controls, announced the Source 4 LED Series 3 Ellipse Photo Reflector Spotlight and the Desire Fresnel. Now, the three of us have deep and somewhat contentious discussions on this, and we're going to be talking about it on our Let's Talk About segment. So make sure you hang out for like the next 30 minutes so you can hear what we have to say about it.
Or just fast forward.
Fast forward to like 30 minutes in, and then you'll probably catch it. Now, that's the first bit of news. The next bit of news is a new book by our friends Jeff Ravitz and James Moody on live broadcast video lighting. And it's entitled Lighting for Televised Live Events, Making Your Live Production Look Great for the Eye and the Camera.
Ooh, great title.
I ordered mine last night. No kidding. As soon as you posted, I ordered.
You can pre-order it, by the way, for $32. The link is on our Facebook group.
Who's the publisher? Is it Focal Press?
Routledge.
Okay. If you're a teacher, you should be able to get a test copy.
So if you're a lazy, cheap bastard, get that.
Yeah, buy it, for God's sake.
If you support James and Jeff, put your $32 down on the table. $32. US dollars.
$32.
It's like a trip to
That's
Starbucks.
a bargain.
Okay, first of all, there's no one better in the field than Jeff and James. Okay,
Right.
They are really. They've done it all.
They're the wizards
and they're continuing
of that
to do
world.
it all, which is even fantastic. Now, what is so incredible about this book? It's not just for broadcast lighting. It's not just like lighting for televised live events. The key is in the title, Lighting for Televised Live Events, making your live production look great for the eye and the camera. And the reason why this is important is because, especially with what's happening with the pandemic, and if we look at what's been happening lately with live productions being broadcasted like Hamilton, I think everyone should be prepared to be able to adjust their live theatrical lighting for the camera. So this book is extremely useful, and it's a skill that you really need to develop, because I personally think that this is the present and future for live theatrical events. What do you guys think?
I just know that those guys are the wizards of that, and I think it's a delicate balance to make something look good for the eye and the camera. And we had that conversation with Jeff in our interview, and I have a lot of respect for that. So I'm very excited to read that book, and I'm glad that they're sharing that knowledge because it is highly specialized, and they have mastered it. So it's great that that's coming out.
Okay, I'm going to propose something that my brothers have no idea I'm going to propose. This is just right off the top of my head.
This is scary. When this happens, it's
I
scary.
believe that Jeff and James need to start their book tour on Light Talk.
Ooh.
I am going to propose to Jeff that they start their book tour. And we could do sort of like a book tour type questionnaire, right? You know, we could ask them all questions about the books, which means, Stan and Steve, that you guys have to read the book before we actually do this.
More homework?
Oh, more homework. So I'm going to talk to
I
Jeff.
plan on reading the book, but I do my reading in the summer. So that's when does the books tour start?
Well, I'm going to talk to Jeff and see if he's interested.
I've already got my questions ready.
You haven't even read the book. You got to read
You
the
haven't
book.
even read the book yet. You just ordered it last night.
It doesn't matter. On page 187, there's a very controversial statement here. Can you explain that? And I put it on him. He has to look at the page and figure out
It was
what's
about
controversial.
using ultraviolet light on broadcast. I read that part.
Or in your air conditioner.
That's true, too. So enough of that. Let's pre-order that book. It's going to be a great book, and it's required reading for all my students. A couple more things. PPP has been extended to May 31st.
I got my money today. This morning, it arrived in full. It works.
And today, a new product was brought to our attention, the Glow Bowl. Only $24. Now, what is the Glow Bowl? Well, go on the Light Talk Facebook group page, and you will see. I guess it's a string of LEDs that fit in your toilet bowl, and it gives you a colorful glow coming from the bowl.
And it lights up when you get close, and it goes out when you get away. No more mess.
There's a sensor.
Your cat will love it.
Does it sense like movement?
I have no idea.
Okay.
No idea. But, it's available in like maybe, I don't know, a dozen different colors. And it changes color constantly, which could be annoying, or you can program it just to stay one color.
All I know is that I'm going to be spending a lot of time in the bathroom looking at the colors.
Can you imagine some drunk going to the bathroom?
First of all, this is a product that should be on our show. But I've got a better product. It's a combo glow bowl and bidet. Like, do you miss Las Vegas? Now you can recreate the fountains of the Bellagio in your own toilet.
Oh, I thought you were going to bring up the other product that we posted today.
What is that?
Oh, the Game Changer.
Oh, wait a second. You're talking about that company that stole our patent.
Yes.
The Drone Focus Deluxe. What the hell is that about?
You at least should get a little bit of action from that.
Yeah, I should get some action. All right, enough of that. Let's start the show. Steve has our first question.
Yes, Mr. Light asks, how do you decide when to retire your school inventory? So Mr. Light there has not achieved, or she has not achieved tenure yet, so is trying to remain anonymous, and clearly is in a discussion with their department chair and their dean, and is on the short end of the receiving stick there. How do you decide what to retire in your school inventory? It's a good question. I guess what I do is I take a look at inventory that parts are becoming really difficult to obtain. lamps are being phased out, or arcs that are just too expensive to maintain anymore. So that's kind of my first little litmus test there.
Get rid of the asbestos leads. If it's got white wires on it, they need to go.
And finally, what I would say is I'm moving out equipment that my students aren't going to run into in the commercial world. So I'm in process right now of either selling or crushing, I think, 120 par cans. If someone wants them, I'll sell them to them. If they don't, we'll take them down to the recycling center. But more importantly, we're putting our entire par inventory online, and people are already asking about that.
Absolutely. I can use them this summer.
Oh, yeah. We'll have a ton of par lamps that we're selling out. But we're moving this inventory out. I mean, it's unlikely, that students are going to see it. And I'm retiring something that David Jacques bought years ago.
What is that?
I'm retiring our entire inventory of Morpheus Color Faders.
No! They were state of the art when I bought them.
So were you.
They still work. They're bulletproof. Those things just keep chugging along after 24, 25 years. But my students just aren't going to run into them. So why train with that equipment? Why worry about it? Move into the contemporary world. Maybe I replace them all with, who knows, the ETC Desire Fresnel.
What's that? Oh, we'll get to it and let's talk about it. Right. Wow, the Morpheus Color Fader. That was the first color fader that actually used, was it CMY color mixing? It was CMY, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was pretty amazing. I remember when I bought them. I just can't believe they were still running. And they still are
gorgeous. They used them a couple nights ago in the dance concert. They're great.
I don't understand why you're getting rid of them.
I'd like to have one, Steve, if you're going to get rid of them, just for history.
Sure, $3,500. I mean, if you want one, if you want two, I'll drop them down to $1,000 each.
Oh God! Such a deal. What are you doing with them? Where are they going? You're giving them away, or you're selling them?
I'll probably give them to one of the area theaters.
Wow, that's a nice gift. That's a nice gift.
Yeah, I'm not trying to make money, and
you just wanted to charge me $3,500.
Well,
that takes care of my portion of the Faroe Islands Light Talk tour.
Really?
Yeah, get first class ticket.
I thought ETC was underwriting this tour. That's what Stan said.
Yeah, that's what I said.
But getting back to the question, if you are blessed with an electrician at your university, then listen to your electrician. And the electrician says, we need to get rid of this junk.
Before it kills someone.
Get rid of that junk. Yeah, get rid of it and move on to something else. I mean, storage is a problem.
I like to have artifacts. I like to have one of historical technology to show progression and how things were. So I'd take one. I don't want a bunch of them, but I'd love to have one.
I'll take them all.
Well, Tommy in the UK writes, I need to refocus shutters on a rover between dances. I have plenty of time. What's the best way to do this? And the rover has 2 different focus sets. So just to make sure that everybody knows what a rover is, it's not a Land Rover that you drive, and it's not a dog. It's a stand usually with 3 wheels that you can lock in position, and a telescoping set of pipe that you can lock its height, and then on top you can put the bolt that we usually set a yoke to, or C-clamp. We set the yoke to the top of the rover pipe, and we can move the light into different positions for different purposes when they can't really be there at other times in the show. So it's a very useful device. And for the shutters, you need some way of marking the position when you're changing the shutters, and usually some way of spiking the stand so it goes back in the same place. So I imagine there's a variety of ways you can do that. One would be a good focus chart that would document where the shutters should be. Another way would be to mark those shutters in some fashion. And a really sophisticated way would be to have a custom gobo that creates the cuts that you need and just swap them out for the different focus sets.
Well, just to be clear, just as they say, a point of clarification in the Senate, Rovers are not necessarily restricted to a stand. You could have roving shin kickers that are on a basically floor plate that move from spot to spot depending on the scene. So that they could be considered rovers as well. You could also have roving cyc lights or ground rope.
You could have a roving electric.
You could have a roving designer. You can rove everywhere. No, I mean, I'm talking about, where's David? He's roving around in the lobby.
We've done shows where the trim on the electrics had to change because the scenery changed.
Yeah, see,
Right.
the trims are constantly changing.
So that's roving.
So Gail in Nebraska writes, do you think we have hit oversaturation in the job market for theater folk? If so, what do I do now? Well, I think we've been in oversaturation for a long time. But, it depends on what you do in the theater. For instance, I think we have a lot of people entering the job market as designers and assistant designers, and that part could be oversaturated. However, we can never have too many good technicians. And if you are a little bit above competent, sometimes just competent, you are pretty much guaranteed a job working somewhere as a theater technician.
Competence is underrated, and grade inflation is everywhere.
Oh, great. Don't get me started about grade inflation.
But competence, I'll get you started on competence because you said it. Whether you're a designer or a technician, competence is not negative. What competence is does not mean mediocre. I mean, competence should be prized, frankly, in my opinion, and we don't give competence enough value in our current culture. Everybody is outstanding. Everybody is superior. Give me a break. Not everybody is, right? But competence, you got somebody who's really competent at what they do, that goes a long way, and we should value it and recognize it, and not think that competence means something, oh, you're just good enough. Just good enough is something else. Competence is integrity and confident and somebody you can depend upon. So I think we should re-elevate that word, in my view.
So Stan, my question is, when you're lying on your deathbed and you're thinking back in your life, and I'm not saying you are, but a person, thinking back to being just competent, is that going to get you through this? Or is it like saying, that was pretty good? I was above competent. I was actually pretty excellent in what I did.
I would not mind if it said on my tombstone, here lies Stan K, extremely competent in what he did.
Okay, I'll remember that.
Now you're putting qualifiers on it. You weren't competent. You were extremely competent.
Well, I guess there are degrees of competence. If we were to say I was barely competent, you know what? But I will tell you something. I've taken jobs.
Barely competent. You're still competent. You're barely competent.
Yeah. Why demean that?
Well, so let me say this. So, in my little consultancy world, sometimes a project comes to you where it's a little bit above where the last thing you did. And you kind of say to yourself, am I ready for this job, right? And this could be true in design or in technology or wherever it might be. And I think if you want to grow, you need some level of saying, I haven't done anything quite that big yet, but I think I'm ready because I have a certain competency that I trust in. And you stay humble about that. And then each time you do that, you gain more competence, right? And you guys have heard my 4-step little treatise on competency, right? Unconscious and well, I've done that before on the show, but I think the word is getting devalued, and I'm just trying to prevent that. So yes, I'm happy to be called a competent person, very much so.
I don't know. When I go on a date and my girlfriend turns to me
wait
and
a minute.
says,
That
was a competent evening.
I'm talking about in the work world.
Let's get back
skills.
to the question. What do you guys think about oversaturation in the job market?
Saturation is about colors, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't be oversaturated.
I think if you're I think David hit it on the head. If you're well trained, if you're energetic, if you get up every day ready to go to work and do the best you can, I think you're going to be fine. If you're not, if it's a hobby or it's something you're doing because you don't know what else to do, then yeah, you're probably in the way. And people will move you out of the way very gently. You just won't move up the food chain. You'll stay at that entry-level secondary or tertiary market for a long time. And that's probably not what you want to do in any business or any career to go into.
Right. And to answer the question, what do I do now? Like Steve said, you got to be as well trained as possible, but even more so, you need to be, it's what we talk about on the show all the time. You actually need to be proactive. You need to, check with the designers coming into town, write them emails, say, hey, is it all right if I shadow you? And be out there and be helpful and be part of the team, because a lot of people are competent, but not a lot of people get jobs, who are competent if you do not make yourself personable and helpful.
By the way, in case you didn't know, you are listening to the Light Talkers. And today, Light Talk is sponsored by
Moronic Theatrical Systems of Spokane. It's been a long time since you've last worked in the theater. And now that it looks like the pandemic is coming to an end, your return to the theater can't be too soon. But have you considered what you will be returning to? Are you prepared to once again combat the demons of insatiable egos and bad ideas? Are you going to fly off the handle, lose your composure, and yell from the production table, "This is just plain stupid"? Well, Moronic Theatrical Systems of Spokane has developed a new product that will ensure that you will not lose your mind or your job when you return to the hallowed stages. Stay calm and go with the flow of unfortunate creative ideas with Serenity Sounds. How does Serenity Sounds work? Using Bluetooth technology, Serenity Sounds connects to your headset system. When triggered by our patented high blood pressure sensor, Serenity Sounds will automatically and subliminally introduce dreary, mind-numbing music into your headset whenever your blood pressure rises. This will keep you from impulsively losing your cool and abusing your poor, suffering colleagues. Our scientists and evolutionary biologists have done extensive laboratory research into music that will send you into an altered state of nirvana. And speaking of nirvana, you will not hear any music from that band when Serenity Sounds is activated. What you will hear are the ponderous tunes by the Moody Blues, the Carpenters, John Denver, George Winston, the Captain and Tennille, and of course, Barry Manilow. But our mind-numbing music is not limited to washed-up and usually dead 70s rock stars. In fact, computer scientists and archaeologists have proved that 80s music is the most boring in history. Our 80s collection includes Phil Collins, Yanni, and of course, Kenny G. So stop trying to control those career-ending impulses with prescription medications like Xanax and phenobarbital. Let Serenity Sounds be your soothing influence in letting go of your ego and going with the flow of incessantly stupid ideas. Serenity Sounds. Your secret weapon to artistic submission, tranquility, and job security.
And now, back to Light Talk.
Well, those crazy ducks tell us that once again it's time for another installment of Let's Talk About. And today's Let's Talk About is all about, are the Source 4 LED Series 3 and the Desire Fresnel game changers?
I think it's a response to what the market has been asking for a while. So yeah, it's a good thing.
These two lights, one is obviously their continuation of their Luster series of Source 4 LEDs, and the other one is a Fresnel. And it's very interesting because we're talking about the death of Fresnel a few weeks ago. But let's talk about them. First of all, talking about the ellipsoidal reflector spotlight, they've raised the output 40%. So they're 40% brighter than the Series 2, which is really, really good, very important. That's rated at 13,000 lumens. And they have two incredible advancements, in my opinion, in stage lighting fixtures. One is an 8 LED color engine with a deep red added. And the other thing about them is that they're all using multiverse wireless DMX RDM technology from City Theatrical. And that is a huge, huge advantage, I believe, right now. And they've made some deal with City Theatrical. I don't know if it's exclusive or whatever, but they've made a deal so that now that is integrated into the fixture. The Luster X8 array, which is for your typical all-around theater broadcast use, has green, lime, blue, indigo, cyan, amber red, and deep red LEDs. And they also have a daylight HDR array, which is deep red, indigo, blue, cyan, mint, and red. There are videos posted on the Light Talk Facebook group page. So let's talk a little bit about this. Could anyone but ETC pull this off?
Well, nobody but ETC could market it so slickly.
Apparently no one but ETC could pull it off either, because this is, as you said, this has been desired for many years.
I think anybody could have pulled it off.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Why do you think people haven't done it?
Because they didn't want to put the massive amount of time and effort and energy and money that ETC put into it.
Or they couldn't put the massive amount of time.
Well, I mean,
energy, and money.
ETC's been quiet for a couple years in regards to theatrical lights. So, I mean, they've been working on this for a while. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I don't know if I use the word game changer. I think what's interesting about these lights is that, there are half a dozen manufacturers out there who are, respected, who are manufacturing LED ellipsoidals. I think what's interesting is each one of them steps it up a little bit. And so ETC has stepped it up quite a bit. And so now there has to be a response from the other 2 or 3 companies to not only equal what they've done, but to surpass what they've done. So I think when you look at these 3 or 4 companies, what's really great about them, and ETC has been doing this for a long time, keeps raising the bar. They keep raising the bar, whether it's console or whether it's a light, and there has to be a response. And I think what's really great about this is that anything any of them do that improve our industry and make the quality of light better, they need a big old slap on the back. I was talking a few episodes ago about my love affair with tungsten light. And, I've only seen ETC's light in videos, and I've only seen it, with Justin Townsend's keynote on it. It looks great on camera. And so it must look great in person too. So they've conquered that problem of tungsten. They've conquered that problem of losing warmth, and they've created a pretty impressive light here. I'm anxious to have one in my theater. I'm anxious to test it. The Fresnel I'm really interested in, and I'm not a Fresnel guy, but clearly I need to replace all my Morpheus Color Faders. So, I mean, there's something really kind of intriguing about what they've done. The only downside, and it's not just ETC, it's everybody. The only downside is, can I afford them? That's a problem. And that's, it's an arms race. It's like the $10,000 moving light. If I have an $8,000 moving light and it's good enough, then I'm probably not going to buy the $10,000 light.
So I just want to say 2 things. That's the epitome of what capitalism and a healthy free market does. The customers demand something, somebody steps in and delivers it. Yes, it raises the bar, and that's exactly what they did. It's a response to the customer, and the competition that Steve mentions, that now the bar is higher and other companies will have to respond. That is how all boats rise. That is what competition in a free market does. So I agree with all of that. And I would say I was fortunate. I believe that we saw a year ago what might have been a prototype utilizing the warm LED chip, and I would just say that it was impressive in terms of the rendering on flesh tone and other objects. And I think when we had that conversation about, is tungsten dead and all of that, and I was taking the position that, yeah, it probably is. And this is the beginning of seeing the reality of that.
So just follow up on Stan's comment. Until we actually see the actual fixtures, we don't know yet. So, but it looks very, very promising. So Stan, what do you think about this multiverse wireless DMX RDM
well,
technology?
I hate, nobody likes a guy when they say, I told you so.
We did talk about this, didn't we?
Well, I will tell you that Gary and I go back Gary Fales and I go back a long way. And he invited me to his sort of invitation-only multiverse session at LDI. It's got to be 2 or 3 years ago. And I went, and I comprehended enough to be dangerous, enough to understand it in concept. He was talking about that we don't use the full range of the spectrum of DMX. We don't have to send as much data to every fixture as often as we send it over the wires. And I know for many, many years, Steve Terry, I'll quote Steve Terry as saying, we got to figure out some way to get rid, in quotes, get rid of these pesky control cables, as he called them.
Pesky.
So I know that's pesky. So I know that's been on his mind for a long time. And so when I saw this, I brought this to the Light Talk conversation, and I remember some people scoffing, saying, "Oh, I'm not interested in this stuff. This is technology, yada yada yada, big deal." And I was like, "No, this is going to be a technical game changer." So, Gary was saying this is a very inexpensive chip. It would be very easy for every manufacturer to add that, and that's their hope. And that was a long time ago. And of course, obviously, he works very closely with accessories with ETC for years. And you're going to see it in ETC. And again, back to Steve's point, they've raised the bar again on that one. And can you imagine a world without DMX cable? I like that world. If it's reliable, don't you? And wouldn't every technician out there like that world? So, and the way he explained it was pretty great. It's like it uses a methodology of skipping frequencies that are, in other words, it's really traffic management. And the way DMX was operating, or has operated, is you're sending the same number of cars down every road all the time, the same time, and 3/4 of those cars are empty. Right, so you have to. So basically, it's a more efficient way of transmitting the DMX over a certain bandwidth that I'm sure has to be licensed from the FCC, and I'm sure they've done all that work. I think that's a game changer in a lot of ways. But it will take a while, Frank, to see that implement across the platform broadly. But that's big. So I just want to say I brought that to the table, and everybody was like, yeah, big deal. What? That's not so important. Well, yeah, it is, and here it is. So I'm happy to see that happening, and I can see that on projects where I bring fixtures in. The cost involved in reducing running control cable throughout a facility, and knowing we can trust that's big. That's as big. That's. I'm not saying it's bigger than the getting the red that we all miss, and how difficult red is, but both are very, very big game changers, if you will.
I don't remember saying that's not important.
You didn't care a whit about that.
Really? That may
Yes.
have been the case.
That's my recollection.
Maybe because it had DMX in the name.
Well, it had nothing to, it was DMX and it had nothing to do with design.
Maybe I said something like, "Call me when we get wireless power."
Yeah, that's right. That would have been the comment. That may have been exactly the comment you said.
Yes, I think that's
right,
what I said.
Right, but I think it was huge news, and it was there was no NDA required to talk about that. He was promoting it and sharing it, and I thought this is going to be great. The question will be, could you put that into existing inventory easily with a simple, I don't know, how do you do that into my Series 1s, right? Or it's my, how do I put that in my PLs aftermarket? Will somebody come along and say, hey, if you want to get multiverse on your existing unit, here's how you just plug this XLR connector into your...
I thought they have that already. I mean, isn't that the whole idea behind multiverse? I mean, before this, how many fixtures actually have it built in?
Yeah, we use show babies and stuff, but this is on board.
Yeah,
right?
this is integrated.
That's right, integrated.
Absolutely. Right. So these are our initial impressions on these new fixtures. We'll have more to say once we get our hands on them and take them for a spin. So we are looking forward to doing that and reporting back to you what we really think. Well, Steve has our last question of the day.
Ann in South Carolina writes, Steve, as you enter the twilight of your career, have you saved all of your light plots? And if so, why? And good question. Every one of my light plots is a masterpiece, and I am slowly wallpapering my house with them. I don't know. My wife has asked this same question. When can I throw out your flat files and your vertical files? What is all this paper everywhere? I don't know why I have, but you've caught me. I've got a lifetime of light plots squirreled away, and they're about to go into the recycling bin. I guess I just don't want to throw away bits of my life, but I'm ready to.
What is that line from Death of a Salesman? Life is a casting off, Willie.
So, Steve, what you need to do is get one of your student assistants to actually digitize all those light plots by taking good photographs. And
Yeah, I agree. That's what my
and
students
then throw
did.
them, yeah.
Then I'll throw
them
those
on
away.
a hard drive. And
Then I'll throw the hard drive
those
away.
Those are all just zeros and ones. Don't throw those away. A hard drive is nothing.
You guys are hoarders.
No, I'm not a hoarder. I don't have any.
You've probably saved all your burnout gel.
No one gives a damn about my 1978 plot for Measure that I did in graduate school. Believe me.
But you were proud of it at the time.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Years ago, my students came to me and said, "You must have quite a collection of stuff from your career." And I said, "Yeah, some of it's in a box like that my wife would like me to get rid of, right? Like Steve." And they said, "Well, we want to put that together." So they grabbed all of my old stuff and they went around the country and talked to people they knew and grabbed stuff from people who were willing to share. And they put together a little UF lighting archive, a small version of the big one that we have at Lincoln Center, but just a little local one. And they took all of my stuff and they took it down to Kinko's and they scanned those old light plots. And they put them together on a drive and we have it and so on. But I also got a beautiful, I don't know how UF got it, but on acetate, a beautiful sepia drawing of the Disney castle with all the strobe locations. It's hand-drawn. It's beautiful. I don't think we would throw it away. I would like to frame it and I put it in a light box because it's really quite beautiful as an object de art, not as something that's as useful anymore, but it's kind of cool. So I don't know, but I think digitizing it, maybe it's, but yeah, my stuff from community college, I mean, it's all digitized. It's there now, but I think my students sometimes get a kick out of it because they'll say, "Wow, that's what you drafted like when you were 23," and I'm like, "Yeah." They just make fun of it, but but I think it's time to clean the closet, clean the attic.
Well, I didn't want to tip my hand or anything, but we have a sponsor coming up, and you know how you can chip a dog with that information, and the vet can find you. There is now coming out of China. I can take all my light plots, digitize them, put them in a chip, and insert them in the back of my head so that I can reference successes in the past and just pull that stuff up and avoid failures.
God.
Artificial intelligence. There we go.
Well, the rocking sounds of the Luminoids tells us that once again you've spent another morning listening to Light Talk. You can hear our show on Spotify, iTunes, Google, YouTube, Live Design Online, and just about every podcast site out there. Check out our website on lighttalk.org for future guests, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our podcast. That way you will not miss a second of Light Talk insanity.
No guarantee is offered regarding the accuracy of any statements or opinions made on this podcast. However,
In the event that you do decide to litigate, the law firm of Flecht, Flocht, Flair, and Glare and our friendly paralegal Snoot will defend us until our retirement funds are depleted.
Light Talk is written and produced by the Lumen Brothers, coming to you from Long Beach, Gainesville, and from deep in the heart of Texas.
And be sure to join us next week when we celebrate our 4th anniversary show and begin our 5th year of Light Talk.
All of that and a new sponsor.
Light Talk, broadcasting questionable Lumen knowledge and humor around the world.
So we'll see you all next Saturday morning. Bye-bye from Light Talk.
Toodles.
Bye-bye, everyone.